live.
Hello, I'm Matt Bergman, and you were listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 260. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman,
What's up, guys?
Kyle Wagner,
Hey, guys.
and Jonathan Dickert.
What's up?
Hey. So, number one topic on the table tonight is got to be the coronavirus.
Is everybody out here surviving?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Yeah, it seems to be the only thing that's really on the news these days. You already leaving, dude?
I gotta cut off that dehumidifier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got some
background noise.
background noise, but
It's not on yet, but it will kick on.
oh, it's going to kick on.
Yeah. So I kind of thought this story was going to run its course. I remember last week saying I don't feel like talking about Corona anymore, and this week it simply can't be avoided because everything is being shut down. My work said that everybody has to work from home for the next 2 weeks. The schools have been shut down. I mean, I feel like we've gone from 0 to 60 over the last week as far as response to this virus. It's really been a crazy week. So, how are you guys handling the panic?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty worried about it. Like, I'm immunocompromised, as they say, because I have multiple sclerosis. And I take an infusion every 6 months that weakens my immune system, and thus is supposed to, slow down the MS, So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty worried about it. I'm not going to lie. It's a scary time. We've never seen anything like this in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I did. The scariest article I read about it so far said that I think it was in 3 to 10% of the cases, the people that recovered had 20 to 30% reduced lung capacity and were wheezing if they walked briskly. So they actually had lung damage and
Wait, permanent lung damage?
I don't know if it's permanent or not. This is a new disease, so I guess we don't really know what the long-term effects are going to be, but it was like they survived the disease, but now they have some health issues with their lungs. So that to me was quite scary. I wouldn't want to encounter that. I think before I read that article, I was kind of treating this sort of like the flu. People have the flu all the time, and it's a miserable 2 weeks or a week, and then you get through it, and you're okay. So,
and you're still hearing that argument. I don't really buy that argument. Full disclosure, I kind of had a pessimistic outlook about this from the start, but comparing it to the flu, it's true. There's a lot more people, I think, that have died even this flu season than have died from coronavirus. But to me, it's like, you always hear that I guess more people die in the bathtub or in the bathroom than will die from gun violence. But it's not comforting to hear that when there's an active shooter in the building. And that's, to me, kind of what's going on.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. For me, I mean, initially I didn't have the attitude of this is the same as the flu. I knew it was different. I knew it had a higher mortality rate, and was specifically bad for elderly and, like you said, immunocompromised people. But personally, I was, just sort of I mean, for me, it'll probably, if I happen to get it, it'll probably be a miserable, like you said, 2 weeks, and then I'm fine. And I didn't hear the thing about having permanent lung damage. That's a little disconcerting for sure.
There are X-rays that are really horrifying.
Yeah. Okay. That is pretty disconcerting. But before knowing that, I mean, I still wasn't as concerned about myself, but it's more of a at the risk of using, I don't want to use the word social contract, but it's just like a dick move to be, a vector, what they call a vector. Which is basically allowing the virus to use you and then transfer somewhere else. The more vectors that you have out there, the more opportunity for someone who is, at a very high risk to get infected. And, my parents are both in that category. They're older, and then tons of other people that I know. And, just because I'm not at risk personally, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't give a fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Which is why I might be jumping ahead here, but, you know, I heard that the UFC is just decided not to shut down anything, you know, just keep going until, like, the federal government says otherwise. And to me, that's just sort of irresponsible.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, you know, like I said, okay, yeah, the fighters are probably going to be fine. And, you know, okay, you know, you're taking your own risks when you go to the event, but you're also putting other people's lives at risk as well by potentially being a carrier. And if you're going to an event, how many seats are at those arenas? Like 20,000?
I'd say 12, 15 to 20.
Yeah. So you're exponentially increasing the likelihood that you're going to get it. If anyone there has it, I mean, I'm not saying everyone there is going to get it, but it's just you're increasing the likelihood, and then that just sort of propagates up through the chain. And, you know, it's like, look, everybody just fucking, even if you think the government's, you know, I mean, I hate the government, right? You know, I don't trust the government, but, like, I'm hearing what, like, this guy on Rogan is saying. This guy, I can't remember his fucking name, but everyone's probably seen
Michael Oster or something.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's probably seen this video by this point, and this guy is just level-headed. He's talking about it honestly. You know, he's not, you know, he's sort of taking, I wouldn't say he's taking the middle ground because he's calling for, you know, for great concern, but he's not, you know, like, oh, you know, start fucking, like, digging a hole in the ground and building a shelter right now because we're going to be all dead in 10 months or whatever. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Jared, just from the standpoint of public relations and common sense, this seems like a very high-risk move for them, because if they're wrong at this point, they're the only ones that are going to be that are going to be doing this.
Yeah.
You know, MLB is delaying, NBA is shut down,
Minor league
NHL
teams.
is shut down for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, it doesn't make sense. They're already on, like, shaky ground because of the nature of the sport. You know, all it takes is, like, some fucking, I mean, who was it? I think it was fucking Bloomberg that was going after them back in, like, the 2000s or whenever the hell he was mayor. He was trying to get them kicked out of New York.
Yeah.
He called them, like, cockfighting or something like that.
Yeah, human cockfighting.
Yeah.
Was that Bloomberg that coined that term?
I think so. That could be 100% fake news. Someone can fact check me in the chat, which I haven't been looking at.
It's Zionist propaganda. That's what it is.
I think with the UFC, part of it is just, you know, of all the sports, that's probably the most macho culture of all of them. And they're just kind of taking a tough guy approach. They're like, this is overblown. We're not going to cancel everything. We're not going to panic. Everybody else is, you know, freaking out about it. But, you know, we're tough. So I don't know. I kind of agree with you when you put it that way, though, Jared, that, you know, maybe having an event with 12,000 people and there's a virus, or 15,000 isn't the best idea.
Yeah, I've actually got a buddy who books events, and you guys probably know who it is. I just don't want to say his name on the air because it's about his work. But he's booking events. He's an anarchist, you know, and he's, like, concerned because, like, the effort that he's putting into booking these events, number one, he doesn't even think they're going to happen. He thinks they're going to be canceled because they happen. Before they happen, they're going to be canceled. So it's, like, all this effort for nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, he thinks it's, like, just irresponsible for, like, to even have these events.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, so, like, we were talking about it, and I was like, I'm going to say something status. And then before I say anything, he's like, I know what you're thinking. And it's like, you know, you almost want the government to just step in and just, you know, cancel the big concerts and stuff, right? Because that's where the shit's going to spread.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not
But
saying.
I mean, it's not even necessarily you want the government to do it. You'd rather see the market just get it done.
Yeah.
And some venues just have been getting it done on their own before, you know,
I mean,
there was
I
any
think
law.
for the most
And
part
I think
they
that's
have.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part they have, and then it's, you know, ones like the UFC where, like I said, they're already on shaky ground with just public perception because of the nature of the sport. And then, you know, they're doing something like this, you know, how, you know, that's definitely going, you know, if it backfires. I mean, the problem is you won't know if it backfires. I mean, unless we hear, like, 30 people from the UFC event were, you know, contracted coronavirus. But we might not hear that. We might hear about the people that they talk to the next day, that they shake hands with the next day, or come into contact the next day that are infected, and you have no connection back unless they spend the time to trace it.
Yeah, I was watching Contagion, the movie Contagion today, which was I think Outbreak is a good one, but people online were saying, a lot of comments that I was reading were saying watch Contagion. So I was like, all right, I got to check out this movie Contagion. And in that movie, like, they really highlight just, you don't think about how much stuff you touch that somebody else touches. This guy's on the bus coughing, and then they're like, get off the bus. And he walks up and literally he touches every single handrail on his way out the bus.
Yeah.
He's like, because the bus is rocking and he's trying to get out,
Right.
but he's coughing into his hand and then touching the handrails. And you're like, Jesus, Meanwhile, Jared's over here sneezing, So it really is scary how
It's allergies
easily
for me.
a disease can transmit, with just from touch.
Yeah.
I think touching and sneezing, airborne stuff, and I guess this virus is highly contagious. Is that the facts? Yeah.
For anybody who can't see us, we're all sitting at least 6 feet apart here, so we should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, this probably isn't the most optimal spot to be in, but
Yeah, I mean,
certainly being in a crowd of thousands of people is exponentially worse. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
no, I was just gonna tell people, we actually had the executive director of the Libertarian Party scheduled to come on tonight, but honestly, like, I just felt, I was just like, I guess, like, a little scared about having people come over after a conference where there's going to be, a lot of people there.
Yeah,
and
especially that guy who's probably been traveling, around to every state convention.
Yeah,
coming into contact with, like,
he's shaking
thousands of people, shaking thousands of hands. Like,
He
this
could
guy
have-
could be like,
he could have more germs than that
Patient
little
zero.
monkey in outbreak.
yeah,
Yeah.
he could be fucking patient one.
Yeah.
Zero.
So at any rate, yeah, like, I was just, like, a little paranoid about that. So I decided to, just not do that,
Yeah,
But
I mean, yeah, I don't blame you at all. I mean, I ended up not going to the Maryland convention.
I saw Alex made it there. Phil was there.
Yeah,
This is the Maryland LP convention, which was held today.
I thought we were just listing people who have corona now.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
What was it called? LibertyCon, which is a big. I don't know. It's not Libertarian Party. It's just a Libertarian
I think
conference.
it's hosted by YAL, isn't it?
No, SFL, Students for
Oh.
Liberty.
Okay.
YAL is Young Americans for Liberty. They're sort of
They may or may
libertarian-leaning
not be
organizations. Yeah. So they canceled LibertyCon this year. I've gone, I don't know, the last 4 years, I think.
Really?
And I've been really busy. I was on the fence about going this year, and since they canceled it, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, no, I'm definitely not going. But the LP was scheduled to host a presidential debate there too, so that would have been pretty cool.
Mm.
And I gotta say though, I do miss Phil this week. This is the first time in a long time that Phil has not been on the podcast.
It feels
Oh, the
empty
Super
without
Bowl.
him in this
Yeah.
chair.
Did
we,
he-
we didn't
The chair
put,
does look a little more stable, though.
yeah, we didn't put anybody in his chair, and
Just kidding,
we
Phil.
we
Love
all
you.
we all came on it before the podcast. So
It is the circle jerk chair now.
Didn't he miss the Super Bowl episode?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
did.
did.
I was here for that.
okay, yeah.
We all-
So
we all missed
he
that.
did miss that. He did miss that.
Wait, you were here for that?
I was.
You're not a sports baller?
Nah, I went for it.
Okay. Good for you, man.
Yeah, that was Jonathan Dickert's first episode.
I didn't really care about the game that much.
Yeah, they say you never forget your first time.
That's true.
That's what Kyle says, at least.
Yeah,
About first time coming on the podcast.
that's true. Yeah, I was hosting a Super Bowl party, so I definitely couldn't have made it. But
Well, I bet that was lively.
yeah, thank you. So have you guys like stocked up on food?
Yeah, we've made a few trips. We've got a bunch of canned food. And we've just got a bunch of random shit that we just have sitting around. So, I think we'd probably be good for like a month, maybe 2,
Yeah.
if shit hit the fan.
I tell you, I used to like never go to the grocery store, and I mean very rarely. And I would scrimp by. This is when I was single, living by myself.
Yeah.
Like I would
Like, yeah, I
scrape
used to go
by
like once a month.
for like no, not even once a month. It would be like I don't know.
Would you just
man.
eat out all the time?
Some of that, and
Yeah.
some of like just frozen food and like back of the freezer. I don't know. It just seemed to make food last a really long time. But yeah, my girlfriend's been doing a lot of shopping. She's going again tomorrow. And you know, I think we're good on like toilet paper and stuff like that. You know, I've seen people are just going insane. I'm seeing these pictures on social media of just empty shelves, and you know, I would think that in a week or two all those shelves are going to be restocked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're at this point. Now, look, this could get far worse and it could change, but the supply lines are not really that fucked up when it comes to that kind of stuff, from what I understand. Like, they're still able to like get the shit from Johnson & Johnson and all that. Like, it's just like, you know, it's hard to keep the shelves stocked because as soon as they put it out, people just fucking run in and buy it all. But eventually, I imagine that'll calm down. You'll be able to get it, you know. But I mean, it could get weird in the next few months. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with this thing. Like,
yeah, this one blogger was like, we got the last thing of almond milk. I was like, oh, forgot. Like, oh, God forbid you have to drink normal milk, you know, or cow milk.
yeah,
That was a close one.
Yeah, I mean, there's still plenty of you know, food. Like, you can go and just get food.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just go to a restaurant, fast food.
well, there's that too. Yeah, I mean, for now, but the
There's
concern
food
is
in the
like if
grocery
they.
stores. There's food in the grocery stores.
Hey,
You
that's
don't
what I'm saying.
have
There is food in the
options.
grocery store.
Hey, Jared, question.
Yeah.
How would you feel about, in the interest of saving money on toilet paper, just using like a toilet hanky?
That you just kind of like reuse and wash it off.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about it. I don't know.
I don't know, dude. What about just like shit and shower? What about just like
Shit
take
in
a
the-
shit and then take
Ew.
a shower?
Ew. Julie Borowski posted an ad to a bidet, $50 on Amazon. You
Actually,
get-
yeah, my wife just got one in the mail like yesterday.
wow. Have you
Yeah.
installed it yet?
Yeah, it's installed upstairs.
Oh wow.
Does it work? Do you like it?
I've not used it.
You don't like it shooting water in your bunghole?
I mean, yeah, I have not used it yet. It was only hooked up yesterday, so
Where does the
Ah.
is the nozzle in the back pointing forward?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I haven't even checked it out. I don't even use that bathroom.
I went
usually.
to a hotel in New York that had one, and it was fucking crazy because we didn't know what it was, and we pushed this button, and it fucking like shot up like super high and like hit the fucking ceiling. Like that's how high pressure this shit is.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
like, I'm not sitting on this motherfucker.
You didn't even try it?
No, dude.
Wow.
I saw it like the fucking damage it caused to the fucking drywall.
So here's what I'm thinking: if it's from the back and it's shooting forward, it's just gonna like shoot the back of your balls, right? Or like shoot
Most of
the,
us have
shoot
our
the
asshole
shit
right
in-
above our balls.
Yeah, it's gonna shoot the poo right into your ball sack. That's what's gonna happen.
I don't know, man, but this is an ancient technology. I'm sure there's a
It
reason
is?
for it.
What? They didn't used to have pumps in the toilets.
No, I
maybe
mean,
maybe they had like a slave or somebody with a straw,
Wow,
a
dude.
manual bidet.
Is this your libertarian paradise?
I don't know. But no, yeah,
Child
yeah.
slave. Cleaning your butthole. Wow.
Anyway, so Matt's got one, man. Maybe after the show, I'll,
Yeah, can we all use your bidet?
Can
we
just
go
give it a
upstairs, use your
dry,
bidet?
give it a dry run.
Yeah, you got to use the auto blow. The least I can do is use the bidet.
I'm super curious right now. So
Yeah, a lot of people are buying those. Well, there's like one of those. You know how everything has like an internet version, like an internet company version, where it's like all like, you know. So there's one called like Tushy, I think, that's that apparently is now just back ordered for like months and months because people just were like, oh, I heard this on a podcast. I'm gonna go check it out because I ran out of toilet paper. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm good on supplies for the most part. My real concern though is people that are not. So, you know, if it gets like, and you know, I'm talking completely hypothetical, probably not going to happen. But if it gets too crazy out there, they shut down all the stores. You know, the supply lines get fucked up. The supply chains get fucked up. They can't get the stuff into the stores. You know, then the people that get real desperate, and then they come looking for the people that do have the shit.
yeah,
So they come, you know,
that takes like I think like 3 days or something like that, right?
3
Before
days.
we just have complete chaos.
And then in that case, you're going to want ammo.
Americans are, to a large extent, I don't know, not that durable. You know, they get right. They panic. They
Well, that's
freak
the thing,
out.
dude. I could probably survive on like 16 cans of Dinty Moore for like 3 months. Like, no joke, dude. I could just have 1 can of that a day and just fucking stretch it out.
I don't even
Dude,
know what
you're
that
like
is.
you're
I'd
like,
lose, like,
you're like the
60
Dinty
pounds,
Moore
but-
beef Jew.
What is that? I don't know what that
He
is.
gave it to me before the podcast. It was like,
Dinty Moore
beef
beef
stew.
stew.
It's like a microwave dinner.
All right.
It's
Yeah,
just
it
like
kind of tastes
microwave
like
stew,
dog
yeah.
food, but for people. No, I'm just joking. Yeah,
It's
I
not
think
that
it's
bad.
good.
I just
I mean,
don't like to think about
I
the
like it. That's why I have it.
preservatives
yeah, I
like-
mean, it's not going to be. I'm not going to be like the image of health.
Yeah, I mean,
after-
if I'm gonna eat like
But I'm not gonna
canned
die.
soup,
yeah. I mean,
After,
you could go
after
3
day
days.
7, Jared would like have a mask on, be out like trying to rob people for more food. He'd be like, I can't have one more can of this
I'm
stuff.
usually leery of anything that's a meat product that I can just keep in the pantry. That's kind of what that is.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not advocating it for like regular use.
It's got those.
Oh, yeah.
It's got those sweet preservatives in there, man.
I'm looking for it for like survival only.
Yeah.
You know,
How about
we're
cat-
like
how about-
really hungry before the podcast.
How about cat food? Would you try cat food?
I mean, I before I'd starved to death. Yeah, I don't have a cat.
I've got
So
a
I don't have
I'm
cat
just,
food.
I'm just thinking what I would do in a desperate.
Yeah, I
situation.
mean,
I'd eat
why
the
not?
cat food before I ate the cat. I would say that.
Well, yeah,
No.
that's good.
This podcast turned really dark.
So,
I wouldn't.
who's gonna be? Which pet would you eat first?
I know. Which pet do you love more? The goldfish.
Or do you just train your dog to hunt for you?
I have a koi pond now. I could eat the. I could.
There you go.
I'm
You
not.
got a
I'm
koi
not that.
pond?
I'm not that
Wow,
attached to the koi. So
Fancy.
okay. So, what about grocery stores? Has anybody here went to a grocery store recently? Because I've saw pictures like
Nah,
yesterday.
I sent Shannon off to that.
Yeah, I
It's like
saw
eating it.
pictures. I saw pictures from yesterday. My buddy took at the store, and it was like all the shelves were empty.
Yeah, no, that's what I was just saying. There's food there. There just aren't the same choices that you're used to. You know, it's sparse in some places.
Yeah, and people are taking
The
pictures
toilet
of like
paper aisle. for
yeah, people
example.
are taking pictures of like the toilet paper aisle, and you're like, okay, toilet paper's gone, but there's also like canned soup. There's also like every Campbell's canned soup still. So get the stuff that's important. Figure out where how you're gonna wipe your ass later.
I was in the store getting lunch the other week, and this was a Wegmans. It was fully stocked.
Yeah,
Looked fully stocked to me. So I don't know, but that was
last week.
that
Yeah,
was
that's
sort of like
different, dude.
Monday, Tuesday of last week. I hear things are different now.
Yeah, I think that's where Shannon was. She was at Wegmans.
They like restock every week, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're restocking. Like, they're restocking. People are just freaking out about that for no reason. But what I'm saying is like right now, while you still can, like, just be prepared. This could last for months.
Restocking is actually a continuous process. They've got enough different items that they can't just restock like once a week.
Right.
I've got a lot.
You
of
mean for the specific item can't be restocked once a week?
Maybe one item is restocked on a weekly basis. I don't know, but the restocking is a constant process. I mean, those stockers are usually there,
Yeah.
after hours and before the store opens almost every single day.
Yeah, I believe I heard that some 24-hour grocery stores are actually closing now just to give them more time to restock.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they've just got to keep up with the demand. But it's not like the product doesn't exist, It's not, it's funny. You see these tweets where people are like, oh, you guys were worried about socialism? Well, look what's happening in capitalism.
I know. I
It's
was just gonna say that.
it's like, all right, well, first of all, you're comparing
I
like
think I saw Kyle post one of those.
you're talking about capitalism under like extreme duress, and yet people are still not out there starving in the streets. Like
I said the difference is this isn't normal for us.
yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly. It's like, and even under duress, it's like, all right, you just gotta be patient and just let it restock.
One of the commies was saying he was like,
one of the commies.
I interact with a lot of commies for whatever reason, but one of them was like, well, we under communism still have, he said the government controls the brands, I think he said, or something like that. You would still have variety or you'd still have selection. Because I was like, I don't, theoretically.
So you get spam A, spam B, and spam C.
Theoretically, the state controls all of it, right? All food supply, all marketing, all distribution. I would think you just get a ration card. It's not even really a market. So he was sort of implying that it would still be some sort of market where you buy different types of food, different brands and things like that. But I mean, I remember hearing stories of Russian officials or Soviet officials who visited the U.S. and were like blown away by the grocery stores and the selection of in the stores.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that's normal for communism.
No.
You know.
No, yeah, I mean it's a pretty asinine comparison to make.
Yeah. We put gas up there too. Gas prices are like super low. You know, we're getting down near $2 a gallon, which is
I
pretty.
didn't even notice.
Yeah, man, it's pretty sweet. I think
Hell
I
yeah.
paid like $2.10 the other day.
I just filled up
Are
today.
you catching wood, Jared?
Yeah, I got a little half chub. Well, Matt was like, "Dude, you got to gas up your car, man. They might quarantine us tomorrow." So I got gas before the podcast.
No, I was just saying I would get gas when you're out. I would make sure you have a good amount of gas. I would tell it to everybody who's listening. I would say, stock up on food. Maybe go to the store at a time when you think less people are going to be there.
What about a bug out bag?
Honestly, I don't have a bug out bag, but I think it's probably not a bad idea, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just hunkering down, staying at home.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be hard to find some of that stuff. Like I was searching for emergency prepared, emergency food supplies.
MREs. Is that
Well, MREs and like those like buckets they have that are filled with like fucking like grain that can like last you for like you pay like $150 and you got like 30 days of food apparently. But all that shit's like backward until April. Like every site I went, like first 3 pages of Google results.
The survival community has got to just be going nuts right now.
Oh,
you
dude,
know,
they're fucking-
this is their
This is where our
this
money should
forever.
be going. This is where we should be investing our money.
this is their Super Bowl. They're finally like, all these years we've been warning people, and now it's finally happening.
Promise they
I'm
don't
not
have
a
the supply to
bonafide-
keep up. Oh, sorry, I keep cutting.
I'm not a bona fide prepper, but I think there's
Yeah.
a little bit of a prepper in me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for the preparation. The point of preparation is so that when something like this happens, you don't panic.
Yeah.
You're trying to prepare for not just what you think is likely to happen, like what everybody says is likely to happen. You don't follow the crowd. You prepare for what is not likely but could be devastating.
Yeah.
Your car, your car. If you have a car that's reasonably modern, you've got all kinds of safety features on there. You've got airbags and seat belts and foam in the bumper, and it's to protect you in case that car like rolls over, or you have a head-on collision or get hit from the back, and all these things that you hope never happens and probably aren't that likely. But that's what preparation is. You want to have that in case things get really bad.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, being a libertarian, this has been a topic of discussion, in and out since I got into it,
That's how I started. Like, I started in a panic, really.
Yeah.
In 2015, I was so panicked about an economic collapse and empty store shelves and, we're going to be hunting squirrels in the woods. I mean, I really went overboard with it. Ron Paul was making commercials about how the monetary system was going to collapse, and I took that seriously. So, now I kind of, it sort of instilled in me, because it never happened, a sense of like, okay, don't panic, take things as they come, wait and see. And the fact that like I can go out to like McDonald's right now and get food with no problem.
Yeah.
I'm not panicked at all, really.
Might get a Corona burger though, dude.
Yeah, is anybody else avoiding fast food right now? Or avoiding eating out in general?
I went on Saturday.
Yeah. You went to a restaurant?
Yeah, I went to a Chick-fil-A on Saturday. And, it wasn't as busy as it normally is.
Yeah.
But I didn't see much of anything that was that different. They didn't refill my cup. They gave me a new cup, and that was pretty much it. I'm sure they're doing other things that I don't see.
Yeah.
But
I have a decision to make tonight, because after the show, I usually have to decide between Popeye's chicken sandwich or the Taco Bell, and it's always a tough decision. And then tonight I have to decide, do I bypass both and just go home? As of right now, I could go home, but I know at 10:30 I'm going to be hungry. It's probably going to be Popeyes. That's what I'm thinking. So hopefully.
Why don't you eat before you come, dude?
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, you guys want to skip ahead to 3.5? It's kind of related.
Yeah,
to
price
this
gouging.
stuff. Yeah, price gouging. So like, this is something that's very controversial, and a lot of people get angry at price gouging, and that's people raising their prices because there's so much demand for the products. And I think anybody that's well versed in economics would tell you that curbs demand and kind of balances things so that only those people that really want the thing are willing to pay for it, and they'll buy it. And I guess the left winger will say, well, that favors the wealthy, and then it's going to leave the poor behind. They won't be able to afford the necessities. It's taking advantage of a crisis situation. But
there's also the virtues of price gouging in that, like as you were saying, somebody probably isn't going to buy like 50 million bottles or something, so other people are going to get it. Now the other thing
so wait,
too.
Hold on. I do want to hear what. So what is the response to someone that says like, okay, this favors the rich, or like not the rich, but like the people that are willing to spend like $20 on a bottle of hand sanitizer?
It's a rationing mechanism, right? So it's going to stop those situations where somebody's hoarding something to turn around and sell it at a higher price, like that kid tried to do in New York with the 18 million bottles of hand sanitizer. He like bought out Amazon or something with hand sanitizer.
So you're saying because of price gouging laws, he was able to get away with that?
But without that price going up, and I don't know about that specific situation because hand sanitizer is pretty cheap, but I'm just saying, like, if something goes up like that, it does curtail the hoarding and flipping kind of practice, right? It's too expensive to hoard it. And then, if people don't really need something, they're like, I can do without it.
Yeah.
If you're really willing to pay for it, then you pay for it. And I think with most basic necessities, I mean, we're not talking about $1 million for a can of soup here, but if it's $5 or $10 or more than it normally would be, that's really going to make people think twice if they really need that can.
But just to play status advocate, what about people that really need the can but don't have, they have $1 but they don't have $10? Is that just tough titties?
I think it is. I mean, and that's sort of the thing. Like the left will always use that example of, well, what about the poor? Well, most people aren't that poor. You're always going to have a problem with people who are in a desperate situation, even in normal conditions. Those people have trouble surviving in a capitalist economy. So maybe you need some mechanism to deal with the bottom dregs of society. But if you're middle class, you could pay for more. You can afford more for a thing of toilet paper. Instead, you got people just cleaning out the shelves, buying all the toilet paper up more than they actually need. Maybe the price should have been raised. Maybe that would slow down some of this demand.
Why didn't they raise the price? Is it just because they couldn't react fast enough, or they didn't anticipate the demand, or is there some sort of law that prevents Walmart from like jacking up their toilet paper to?
I think it looks bad. I think that's what it is right now. It really looks bad.
So is this a problem with our society? Is this a problem with like the lack of economic understanding in our society? Where, because I mean I know Amazon has rules on their marketplace where you can't price gouge. I don't know how they determine price gouging, but they've kicked off like hundreds of maybe thousands of like retailers because they went to their CVS right when it happened, bought up a bunch of hand sanitizer. Now they're trying to sell it on Amazon, and it's against their policy, which they're a free they're a company, they're able to do that. But is that wise for our society to have that sort of outlook on price gouging, or should we embrace it as like, all right, well, this is how the market is sort of self-regulating?
Yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, that's how I treat it. If somebody buys let's say I remember this example, like somebody buys a bunch of bottled water, packaged bottled water, and drives his pickup truck into a disaster zone or an earthquake area or a hurricane area, and is then selling that bottled water at twice or three times the price. Now you say, oh, well, he's taking advantage. He's just taking advantage of the situation.
He's taking a risk as well.
Maybe he is, but he's also delivering water to where it needs to be. So
right, exactly. So I mean, you're like eliminating some of the possible
incentive
exactly to for somebody to take the risk to drive to this place with the water, and
take the risk and to do it.
And and there's the extra cost. There's gonna be the cost of fueling up a truck, and driving all the way down there.
Yeah, but he's getting that water from an area where it's not needed as much to an area where it's really needed. And if you say, oh, you're a scumbag because you're charging 3 times the price for those bottles of water, and he goes, okay, then I'm not doing it. I only did this because went out of my way to buy up this water because I could make a buck at it.
Yeah. Most people do something every day only because they're going to make money. It's called a job.
It's not without risk to himself also. We
There
can't
is,
totally eliminate greed from the market. Okay, greed drives the market, and it does as much good. I would say it does more good than it does bad. Even if you don't let investors or innovators profit in a reasonable sense, in a way that is going to make financial sense to them, they're not going to take any of these chances.
Yeah, greed's not the right word, and I've never agreed with us using the word greed when somebody is trying to make a buck.
Self-interest.
They're hustling, right? He's hustling. He's trying to make money, and there's an opportunity there, and his action serves both the people in that disaster area that need clean drinking water, and it serves himself. So from my perspective, that's win-win.
Yeah.
Right? Instead, this guy is vilified as some sort of guy that's just exploiting a bad situation.
Yeah.
But if you look at the outcome, those people would rather have that water than not have that water, and he's getting it there. So
if I could take a shot at responding to what Jared was saying earlier about the $10 product, I don't know if it was hand sanitizer or whatever. I don't think that in a free market we go from $1 to $10. I think it's a more theoretical. I mean, you do hear that argument. I've heard it certainly a few times.
Yeah.
But I think it's more theoretical than actually realistic. I don't think you go from $1 to $10. I think that as the disaster unfolds, or whatever the market factor is, that price starts to creep up. And yeah, if you're going to, if you're a consumer that's going to sit around and ignore what the market is doing, you are going to find yourself in a situation where you may have to pay $10 for hand sanitizer.
Right.
But if it's really worth it to you, you're probably still going to be able to do it. There's very few people that wouldn't be able to pay $10 for an absolute need.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. On the flip side, we're seeing, we mentioned gas, but flight prices plummeting, right? Because the demand for travel just dropped out the bottom. Nobody wants to take flights right now, so you can get flights for dirt cheap. And people are going, wow, this is sweet, So there's always, whenever there's a crisis like this, there's a shift in people want some things more and they want other things less. And the price mechanism is how the market adjusts to all this changing demand quickly. And so I think that's a good thing. People should understand how prices work, how the price mechanism works. And instead of just demonizing it and vilifying people, just accept that's how prices work. They balance supply and demand.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, just to briefly hit on this and then we can move on, but like you said, whether you want to call it greed or self-interest or hustling or whatever, these ideas, these human qualities exist regardless of what the system they're in is, right? But if you put them, capitalism or free market economics or whatever you want to call it, seems to be the best way to harness that energy, right? Because like you said, you get a win-win situation. That guy could have been a monk who's I'm just going to sacrifice myself and go into this area and give away this water, and we'd praise him for his self-sacrifice and whatnot. But the reality is most people aren't that way.
No, they'll sit at home and throw shots at that guy, but they won't get in their truck and go buy a bunch of water and then give it out
away
for free.
Exactly.
I mean, very few will.
So at least let's have this sort of profit motivation in place.
If somebody does want to do that, we don't want to stop that person either.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So let's harness that energy, and transmute it into something that's good rather than where else politics, something stupid.
What we would really like to see is have multiple people drive down there in trucks and then have to compete with each other.
Well, yeah, if there's a whole market of
driving the cost down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that would be ideal, right? If you had 10 people doing that, one guy's charging $8, one guy's charging $7.50, and you work down to a certain, just like a little mini market.
Competition does bring the price down.
Yeah.
And but the system rewards you for serving other people's needs.
Exactly.
And in that case, those people are in a desperate situation, and you're making money. You're getting rewarded by serving their needs, by helping them.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing in my perspective.
No, No, it's not. Let's see. Anything else? Well, I think you were going to make a similar point about flights, but in the inverse.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess what that point would be, I was just pointing out that the flight prices are down because demand is down. You know, the changing demand is what's driving the prices up for some items, and then other items like flights, the demand is going down, and airlines are having to drop their price because otherwise they'd be flying empty planes. You know, so I guess the demand, the supply is the same, right? Or at least for the airlines, the same number of planes. You would think for the products, it's the same. So it's really, we're just talking about demand changing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And with lower demand, they're having to lower their prices in order to continue operating. I'm not, am I missing something?
No,
there?
that sounds like what it is. I mean, you have, like you said, everything else is static essentially. And then, it's the demand has plummeted, so, they have to drop their prices. I mean, you can get a flight to, like one of them, like, islands, vacation islands in, like, the Caribbean for, like, $100.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Do you want to take your life into your hands?
Well, that's why it's so cheap, because everybody's going, I know it's cheap, but I don't want to go.
Well, once you go there, you don't have to come back for a while. That might be a good deal.
Well, yeah, because
Well, that's the
you're
problem.
in
It's
an
like-
airplane and there's not going to be much ventilation. You know, it's just like that small.
Yeah,
you
if
know,
there's one person on that
space.
plane that has it, like, you're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the case, but I mean, I would think too. There's less people traveling, so maybe it's not as scary as people
Yeah.
might imagine. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious how many people are flying. Like, how full are these planes? You know?
I would imagine not very full, because like my company has shut down all non-essential travel, which is almost all travel.
Right.
So like our sales, our account teams, like nobody's flying. And I would imagine that response is pretty widespread across most corporations in the country right now. Everybody's going, let's just hunker down and see what happens with this thing.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, like, it's a 2-week thing, right? They're going, let's hold off for 2 weeks, right? Well, what if things are worse in 2 weeks? Then do we go,
I think they will be.
let's hold
Yeah.
off for 2 more weeks, or do we get back to business as usual? What happens after 2 weeks is up?
The efficient thing for them would be to offer fewer flights, but still try to fill those flights as much as possible. I haven't flown in years. I don't know what it's actually like right now.
It's a miserable experience.
They finger your butthole.
I mean, it's not, if you go through the body scanners, it's still a long wait in security usually, but
Kyle, you opt for the pat down, right?
no.
Didn't you say you try to go to airports and
they
just
wore
get
me
the
down.
pat down?
I did. I did for a while, and then I couldn't take the social pressure anymore, because they're like, they scream it out. At least this happened to me. They're like, we got a male requesting pat down, opt out. That's what it was. She was like, opt out. We got an opt out, And I'm just
And everyone's like looking at you.
everyone's looking at me. I'm like, yes, it's me.
Kyle, you should just get one of those shirts that says "It's not gay if it's TSA."
I've seen. Oh man, some of those are. I don't know if it's like the standard pat down, but I saw like a woman getting like patted down, just like in the middle, just in the fucking middle of the place,
Wow.
and it was just like it made me uncomfortable to watch because it just looked like she was getting violated. It was bad, man.
Yeah, I've seen it done to my brother, and that made me uncomfortable. I was just like, it's weird. You watch your sibling with their arms up in the air, and the agent, like, grabbing their legs or whatever. It was just like, this is awkward.
Yeah.
What kind of police state are we live? For a libertarian, it was hard to witness.
Yeah, for sure.
And I do think they, had a dramatic response to 9/11, and like so many authors say, like, it never goes backwards, right?
Right.
Once they take away these civil liberties and put in like this homeland security stuff, we never go backwards to like, let's just
Let's
kind
dial
of
it back. We're good now. We're
let's
safe
just
now.
be free again.
Yeah.
Like that
The
never
crisis,
happens.
the crisis is when you seize power, and you have to make the case that we've never seen or been able to anticipate a crisis like this, and therefore we need new measures. And I was hearing Andrew Cuomo say pretty much that same thing today.
What was he saying?
We've never seen a crisis like just what I said.
Oh,
we've
okay.
never seen this before. We couldn't anticipate something like that. And he didn't, say therefore we're, I'm.
So yeah, what do you think? Do you think there's going to be some sort of? I mean, they've been shutting places down, but is that like? I mean, that's not something that's going to stay that way, right? They're not just going to start like randomly shutting shit down.
Well,
like,
this is government's time to shine, right? They're just so excited. Taking out all this emergency funding and kicking off spending and doing all this stuff. So now to say that they couldn't see this coming, I mean, how many movies have there been about pandemics and diseases and stuff like that? I was just talking about one earlier. So like you can't say, oh, no one could have ever anticipated a problem with a disease.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
No, but at the same time, you don't typically spend a bunch of money to prevent something that you've never seen happen before. So
yeah,
I'm
but
just playing devil's advocate. This
Yeah.
is like something we've never seen before. So would you be nutty
Well,
for a little bit?
Kara in the comments points out that they've been talking about coronavirus for 8 weeks now. Like, this has been-
Right. No,
so
yeah.
we should have, as smart prepper libertarian folks,
No, I
we
mean,
should have
and
been out there.
I've been prepping
stockpiling.
some. This is something that I can say my household has been thinking about for a while.
Yeah.
My wife's a nurse,
Right.
so this is something we've been thinking about for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, mid-January was when I was aware of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's when I first started hearing about it.
I mean, the idea of a disease is not new,
No,
but
no.
it's difficult for us to get information about this because, well, I think there's a few reasons.
It's
One
happening
is
in
that-
real time.
One is that it's new and we don't know the specifics of it. First, they said 14-day incubation period. Then you hear, oh, it can survive up to 27 days, and then you hear, oh, well, now it can be 37 days in the air, and you're still hearing talk about 14-day quarantine, self-quarantine, which I have to wonder at this point if the 14-day thing is just theater, because if you think you're really exposed and this is really super serious, wouldn't you do the 37 days? Wouldn't you do 45 days just to, if it's
Yeah, I
gonna
mean,
really,
if I knew I had it, I would
but
probably wait like 6 months to come out.
Yeah,
they
there's-
take you. Do they take you away and put you in quarantine somewhere? Or I don't think they give you the option of
people have been ordered to stay in quarantine.
Yeah.
There's a guy in Kentucky right now who I think is the only case of this in his particular county, but he's basically under house arrest. I think he's in his home, but he's under armed guard because there's been some concern that he's not going to abide by the quarantine order.
Is there a well, I mean, Kyle's not an anarchist, but like, is there a non-government argument is there a NAP argument for doing something like that? Like, if someone is known to be contagious with a virus, is it ethical to keep them under lock and key in their own house or prevent them from getting out into society? Would you think that's ethical?
I mean, I would.
I mean, I know you would. dude.
Yeah.
What about you, Bergman? Let's hear your take. Is that ethical?
I mean, so I'm just
that
I'm
aggression?
just curious, like, why are they keeping this guy in? Did he say, I'm going to give it to everybody?
I don't know.
I'm gonna say.
I don't know. I mean, it's enough for me. It concerns me that there's armed guards. Basically, I mean, they're there because they're going to shoot him if he violates the order.
It does seem extreme.
Yeah, I mean, I would just want to hear more about the story because it's probably
But I mean,
probably a
let's say-
special dude if
but
there's
let's-
armed guards at his house, and he's probably
yeah,
not the only person in Kentucky who's infected. Correct?
You said Texas.
No, there's several in Kentucky.
Oh, I thought
He's
it was
the only
Kentucky.
one in his county.
Oh, you said no. You did say Kentucky.
There's 20 something, I think, in Kentucky that are infected.
It's a really slippery slope, to a full authoritarianism, right? And
Yeah.
and a crisis or an emergency is always the best excuse for drastic measures and crackdowns and the curtailing of civil
Yeah.
liberties.
What new
civil
departments
liberties.
are going to come out of this one?
Oh, I don't know, but there's definitely going to be some budgets being swelled, and
Yeah.
well,
we need to fight this next time around.
CDC, I'm sure, is very excited for the opportunity, and it's a difficult situation trying to balance that sort of like, well, we still want people to be free to leave their houses, but at the same time, we want to stop the disease from spreading, right? Now, I don't take a libertarian kind of like government's just using this as an excuse to take away our civil liberties. That's what they really want to do. I think that the motivation is actually we want to stop the disease from spreading.
Yeah.
And this is an emergency, and we're just taking these measures for emergency, and whatever they do take should, once the threat is gone, or reduced, they should restore things to normal. Give back whatever civil liberty, let the guy out of his house or that kind of thing.
We're only talking about quarantine, isolation, social distancing as a means to to fight this. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but so it's pretty bad in Italy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people are actually saying that we're a week behind Italy on this.
I've been thinking that too.
I think
we're
so
a couple
too, 'cause-
weeks behind Italy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you why. I've been looking at the numbers here, okay? Now, I don't remember exactly the other night, but this will kind of make sense to you. So, it was, I think it was like a week ago Friday, right? This is about a week and a half ago now, or a week and 3 days ago. I think we had, in the U.S., we had 200 confirmed cases, I believe. Or was it? Yeah, I think we had like 200 for confirmed cases.
There's
And
an
then,
argument for
then-
numbers.
Then 3 days ago, right, we had like 2,200 confirmed cases.
Mhm.
So that's like 9 times, right? And then that's like a 9 times gain in a week, right?
I'm afraid to do math on the air now because of what just happened a little while ago.
Maybe even like a 10 times, right? But and in Italy at that time, I think was probably at around like 20,000, 22,000.
Right.
So if you go like 10 times again, right? Like 2,000 times 10,000. I mean, I don't know. I think we could pretty much hit those Italy numbers in the week.
I think the issue is that we're doing what Italy is doing, though. What I was going to point out is if you look at South Korea was actually the country before, when Italy thought they were fine, they just had a few cases. South Korea was the next country after China that was hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
They didn't have a quarantine. What they did was they had rampant testing. Anybody who it's kind of like Trump said, if anybody wants to get tested, you can get tested. But testing hasn't really been that easy to come by right now. But in
No.
South Korea, you could get tested. They did 100,000 or more tests. And
Yeah, I actually know somebody who
People-
had a fever. She's in her 50s, and they didn't test her.
yeah, crazy. Well, there's people at that nursing home in Washington State that have symptoms and they can't get tested. Okay, but in South Korea, for whatever reason, they were hit pretty hard. Their morbidity rate was close to 1%. In Italy, now it's getting bad in Italy. Their rate is closer to 7%. I'm trying to figure out what can we do to be more like South Korea than Italy. Maybe that's too simplistic, but
Well, Italy does have certain things about it that make it more susceptible to this, or at least to more deaths occurring, which is that they have their culture is in such a way where their young people they basically live with their parents for longer, right? Or they'll live with their older relatives for a longer time. So you have like 30-year-olds still living with their parents that are 50, 60, 70 years old, depending. And so, you're more likely to spread the disease from the young people to the old people if they're coming in closer contact on a more regular basis. Because, the young people are out and about, they're doing their thing, they're not yet quarantined, like you said, and then they come home to the elderly people, and that's been a major factor from what I hear.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think they do have larger household sizes.
Yeah.
What has the response been in Italy? I heard lockdown or quarantine.
Yeah, they're pretty much
quarantine
locked
for
down.
the whole country.
Is it the whole country now?
Whole country.
Originally, I'd heard a portion of the country.
It was
what-
about 25%. Now it's 100%.
What is this horrifying map you've got up? Jared's got some sort of map that's like right out of a movie where the red blotches are starting to cover the entire global map.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. This is like if you're interested in following the coronavirus, we've discovered a large map that's apparently like adjusted. It's real time apparently.
Yeah.
And
This one was last updated 8:53 p.m.
Yeah, it's corona cases in the world, and it actually breaks it down by country, and I think you can even get to state stuff in there. And then
it goes down to states. Yeah, it does go down to states.
It's real time. I can see the red dots appearing on the screen.
They have red blotches over, and the larger the blotch, the more cases there are confirmed. And
Right.
so you can see that at this rate, probably within 24 hours, the entire thing's just gonna be all red. The whole.
It's not growing that fast, but they do have on the side here. They've got a graph of the what looks like, it's not very well labeled, but I imagine it's the cases that they're getting.
Well, what's the site? Let's give them a plug. It looks pretty.
I mean, it's long. It's
Yeah,
like
it's pretty long.
arcgis.com and then a whole bunch of other shit. You might just be able to get it from there. Just look for well, this is based on the Johns Hopkins one, but it looks like it has more information. But there's like a Johns Hopkins coronavirus map. Just look for that, or look for arcgis.com. But they do have like a graph down here which is showing. So like mainland China, it has and I'm gonna forget terms here, but basically, it shoots up and then it sort of levels off.
Yeah, I was going to say that orange one looks less threatening than the other ones.
Yeah,
right?
the yellow one, which is other locations, which I guess is just everywhere else in the world, is an upward parabola. So it's starting off low, and then it's just ramping up.
Well, there's whistleblowers in China also saying that their recovery is
Exaggerated.
completely fake, that it's being covered up and things are pretty bad there still.
Yeah, I mean, you
the
can't
reason
trust that line on this graph.
The reason I put Italy and South Korea out there is because I have a little more confidence in their numbers than I do in China's.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, South Korea.
Nice racism, Jonathan.
You got it.
South Korea. Whoa, it's blinking red now. They must have had another one.
He's got the whole
They,
anywhere
had-
you want to see.
They had 8,162 confirmed cases, and then 75 deaths, 510 recovered, but still 7,500 active.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it's scary.
Yeah, it's just like that movie, man, Contagion.
Why would you watch that shit? Just
A
to see
lot
what
of
it's
people
like?
are watching that kind of stuff right now. It's
well,
like,
there's like-
where can I watch this?
I
probably
searched
shouldn't
for it
because
on
I'm freaked out
Comcast.
enough already.
It was on Comcast, but like
There's a
maybe I don't know if Netflix has it.
there's
or
a
not.
game that's at the top of like the Google Play Store. It's called what the fuck is it called? It doesn't matter what it's called. It's basically a game where you have to engineer your own virus. I think it's just called Pandemic, and you just engineer your own virus.
Well, I mean,
and you gotta like soup it up and like it gets pretty intricate and detailed. It's kind of cool, but it's like
So is it the more people your virus kills?
well,
the
yeah,
more
your goal is to kill everybody on planet Earth, but you have to do it in such a way where you don't like you're fighting against like researchers. So like it's like the key is to not like kill a whole bunch of people up front, because then research is gonna get like super funded. But if you're just like have people getting sick, like they're not gonna. It's kind of like with the coronavirus.
You got to
know?
keep it casual at first.
Yeah, you keep it casual, and then you just like get everybody infected, and then mutate the virus, which is kind of like not real life. I don't think it can just every piece of it can just mutate at once. But basically, you mutate the virus, and then suddenly it can just kill everybody.
It's a new game for Matt to try instead of Zelda.
Yeah, it's
Well,
on your
mutations
mobile.
are.
Yeah, but he has a flip phone, so he's not going to be able to play it.
I think mutations are a real concern that we haven't been
Well,
talking
that's another
about.
thing, yeah,
But
sure.
I don't know that it happens. I don't think it happens.
Well,
in
I'm
quite
just saying,
the way
if you're infected, if like
proposed.
me and Matt are infected and it mutates in my body, it doesn't automatically mutate
right.
in Matt's body. It's not.
yeah,
how
but
it works.
we can't get coronavirus from butt sex, can we?
I don't know. You should talk with Kyle about that.
I probably should ask Kyle. So, oh yeah, where's I going with this?
I don't know. It's 9. Do you want to kick it over to after hours?
Oh shit! Wow, yeah, we're already at an hour. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna I want to give a shout out to Tim Pool, because like I've been listening to
I love his material.
yeah, I've been listening to a fair amount of Tim Pool for like a few months now. I think like ever since I saw him on Rogan, I started, I just tracked him down and started following him on YouTube. He's been talking about the coronavirus, not like every day, and I wouldn't say he's getting hysterical about it. I'd say he's just being reasonable about it, and he's reporting things
Who's
from
this Vibes?
Tim Pool.
Oh, Vibes has been doing a lot of reporting on it as well.
Yeah, but
But anyways, go
well,
ahead.
Tim Pool, I give him props because he's like a big YouTube guy, and then when he talks about coronavirus, his videos get demonetized. So he knows it's not going to make him any money, but
Why do they get demonetized? Is that their thing?
exactly
It's
yeah.
YouTube's thing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really it's a shame though because he gives out like a lot of good information while it's happening from reputable news sources. You know,
Yeah.
he like makes you aware of these things. And he was talking about it when there really wasn't much information for it unless you really search for it. So yeah, I'd give him props. I would say follow him if you want to learn more about this stuff. He's been great at covering it.
And that's really cool that they demonetize stuff. I mean, I guess it sucks for the content creators, but it's kind of like just okay, we're not going to buy into sensationalism for this thing.
I don't think it is cool because I'm somebody that values this information, and then yet this guy is being demonetized. So if it went about their way, this guy wouldn't be talking about it, and I wouldn't be hearing what I want to hear. I want to learn.
I don't think they're demonetizing it because they don't want somebody to profit off of a pandemic or a crisis. I think they don't want this to be. They don't want to encourage the discussion. I really think that's what it is.
Oh, you think it's a nefarious thing? I mean, I was thinking of it in terms of like they don't want someone to just like get a bunch of viral videos saying that like 80,000 people are dead in Idaho.
Well, yeah, I think,
You're
but I think potentially, I think potentially it could be a little bit of both. We're going to take things over to the after hours. If you visit us at patreon.com and you contribute a minimum of $1 per month, you help us keep the electricity on here in Anarchy Basement. You help us. We've actually got to purchase like a new interface we found out tonight. So, So if you could help us out over there, and that would be awesome. Yeah, patreon.com/punkrocklibertarians. We also have T-shirts over at the Daily Liberator. Libertariancountry.com. Sorry. If you type in the code PRL or the code PRL podcast, you will receive a 10% discount. Jared, is there anything that you would like to plug?
Yeah, go ahead, check out Liberty Podcast Ranker. Sign up, check out your favorite podcast, give us a vote. And then also in addition to the Patreon, if you're Patreon adverse, as some libertarians are, we do have a PayPal. We do have a Bitcoin. So just if you're interested in those, just message the page or message one of us individually, and we'll get you hooked up there.
Yeah, hell yeah. So until next time, live free
Or die.
and on to the after hours.